Welcome back, ladies and gents. How are we? Hopefully everyone's missed me because I've been gone for so long. Who cares about the pretty young lady? Guys, this is our guest today, Ashlee Evens-Smith. Do you always use your your fight nickname when you do podcasts and stuff like that, or no?
RebelGirl?
Yeah.
I think that it's my brand and it's my ring name, but I think I'm really trying to make it more of a brand than just a ring name. So, like RebelGirl.
Yeah. So let's welcome RebelGirl, Ashlee Evens-Smith. Yeah.
Thanks, Ricky.
Better? Yeah, I got you. No problem. So, guys, this is not even sure if this is going to go to the internet. Probably will. Maybe not. I don't know. But we're just doing some tests to see if this is going to be a fun little thing. You know?
Yeah, I'm excited because I've been doing an audio podcast, as you know, for over 2 years now. And
shout out the name.
Yeah, shout out to
your podcast name.
Sex and Violence with RebelGirl.
See, Sex and Violence, RebelGirl.
RebelGirl. So this is exciting because I've been telling my listeners, stay tuned. We're going to switch to audio, video, full video.
Yeah.
For years now, and this is finally the start of that, and so I'm excited to be here.
Well, cool. See, and she's starting with us, so welcome. Yeah. Awesome. So, obviously, we'll have some basic questions that you've probably answered 1,000 times. Okay. What's it like being a pioneer in female MMA?
It is really cool until you feel old as dirt sometimes. You realize as you see, I'm 36, and I feel like maybe I should stop telling people that because I've got a couple other female friends my age, and they just stop saying their age. But I'm going to own it. I'm 36, and when I was 26, the sport was not what it is right now, as you know, Frankie. And I'm grateful to be one of the older chicks, not the oldest generation. I'm not Gina Carano. I'm not Chris Cyborg. I'm not all these other ladies that paved the way for my generation. But I'm not the newest generation either. So I feel grateful to those past women, and I love giving those ladies the credit because if it was hard for me, it was even harder for those women. Yeah. So, and now these young girls, they have it, I don't want to say easy. It's still a male-dominated sport. Yeah. It's still just tough in general to do combat sports, but we have, myself included, like I said, paved the way for some of these younger girls. And when I'm not feeling old about it, it feels so good. I never had anyone like myself to not only look up to, but it was it's really nice now that I have some younger female fighter friends that I can actually help with not just training but advice on management, diet, recovery, like all these things that are so important to combat sports.
Yeah. Dope.
Yeah.
Sheesh. See, there's a lot that goes in for all of us, right? Guys aren't going to know the female experience, females aren't going to know the male experience, so it's definitely going to be different paths and pieces that you have to deal with that we don't.
Yeah, that as well. There's different things that you have to deal with as a female fighter versus a male fighter, but for the most part, I think it's the same. Similar, fighting is fighting.
Yeah. Fuck, it hurts. Fuck, it hurts. And next, obviously, have to touch on it. The first one female to beat Fallon Fox.
Yeah, the transgender fighters and transgenders in general is a very, very, I don't want to say popular, but it is very prevalent right now compared to 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, when I became the first and only female to beat a transgender fighter, it was big news back then, but it's really interesting to see how a decade later...
It's resurfaced.
Yeah, it's resurfaced, and now it's even more spectacular in people's eyes than it was back then, because I think people are understanding the huge difference from natural born females to transgender females and how kind of crazy it was to even accept the fight when the whole world thought I was going to lose, let alone to actually win the fight. So yeah, that whole experience was very surreal because like I said, it was very, very awesome in the moment, but now later to have it surface just, a decade later, it's wild. And back then I never even imagined the weight of what I would be doing until after I did it. Yeah. And I think it still hasn't even sunk in because I just see it as I just went out there and fought, no big deal, NBD, But, my partner and some of my other, people who are close to me is like, look, you need to give yourself a little bit more credit. But, I've said in the past, it's hard for me to really feel proud about that because it's so long ago now and I don't like to rest on my laurels and I'm always looking to the future to do something even more worthwhile or impressive to add to my resume. But it was an amazing experience. And looking back now, even though there are certain people who try to use the fact that I won the fight to argue for transgenders competing against natural born women, I say I wouldn't change, and I just don't think I wouldn't change what I did, and I just don't think that me beating Fallon Fox 10 years ago means that natural born women should be allowed to fight transgenders. That's been my stance the whole time. I maintain that stance. I think there should be a separate category, men fight men, women fight women, and transgender athletes fight each other. But then, no matter what you say, I feel like you're not going to make one side or the other happy. So that is my stance. It was a wild and unique opportunity for me. And even though, like I said, there's a tiny, or I don't know how big it is, but there's a fraction of people out there that take my win against Fallon Fox as ammunition to support.
But the problem with, I think that argument is hard because Fallon Fox didn't have a lot of experience. You wrestled in high school. I don't think people knew that.
Well, Fallon Fox actually also wrestled in the military, in the Navy, as a man.
Okay.
So, I mean, there.
But saying, I mean, not so much his experience. I think what people don't give a lot of female fighters credit for is how much experience you guys have to be there. You're not there just because you're pretty. You're there because you did the work. Like, you actually wrestled against dudes in high school.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that's, I think,
and Joe Rogan is the voice who has echoed this the loudest because he is the most prevalent. But, he says that, it's like just because I beat a transgender fighter doesn't mean that, transgenders are equal. It just means that, or transgenders are equal when it comes to combat sports.
Yeah.
It just means that I was the more skilled and better fighter at that time.
Right.
And I just, with the risks involved, where I was at in my life financially, if I was in a better position financially, I don't know if I would have taken that fight. Mm-hmm. But I was between a rock and a hard place. I needed the money. I wanted the belt. It felt really wrong to pull out because of another person. Right. I wasn't injured. I wanted to fight, and my coach at the time, Adam Lynn, had told me, I believe in you, and I think that you're the better fighter, and you can win this fight. And for me, I'm such a loyal athlete to my coaches. If they say I can do it, even if deep down I don't really believe it, I will still go out there and fight my heart out. And, I did my best, and I won and came out on top, and 10 years later, we're still talking about it. So
yeah. That was a pretty big payday too, from what I remember.
It was a very big payday for someone who only had one professional fight at the time.
I remember. I think I saw the check that you guys carried.
It was a Happy Gilmore check.
Yeah, it was a big one. I was like, what the shit?
I love it. I actually brought it home with me from Miami where I fought Fallon Fox 10 years ago. And I have a video of the check coming around the airport, luggage conveyor belt. Yeah. And I'm like, woo, here goes my check.
Do you still have a video of that?
I do. I'll find it. Yeah.
Insert here.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And it's $20,000.
I'm rich, bitch!
Is a lot for an MMA fighter now.
Yeah.
Even if they did have a handful of fights. But, back then it was a lot of money. I only had one fight. I mean, it was just something that I really had to ask myself. Like, I weighed the pros and cons. And to me, the pros far outweighed the cons. The con was I get hurt.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of pain back then, and I'm not afraid of pain now.
I was just say fighting is pain. That's
yeah,
as a fighter, you kind of accept it.
It was like, this will be the hardest fight of your life. But that didn't resonate with me because every fight is the hardest fight of your life.
100%.
And if you're a real fighter, if you ever compete in combat sports, you understand the weight of that phrase.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just such a, like I said, I always say surreal because I didn't ask for it. I was just doing my little thing, doing my jam, just fighting. And I happened to be the one that was aware of her status. A few women before me weren't aware. And I think that's just really unfortunate. You should at least, number one, have the choice to choose who you want to compete against if it's detrimental to your health.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you wear 4-ounce gloves. It's not like boxing, 10, or Thai boxing is like, 10s, 14s, a bigger glove.
Yeah. And I mean, I recently saw something online where it was someone in the audience talking to two people who were debating transgender, the place, their place in combat sports. Not even combat sports. I think it was just sports in general. I think it was the Leah Thomas situation. And they were talking about how the person in the audience recommended what I say is an option, right? But we haven't seen it yet, a transgender organization or transgender division or whatever it is. And the person on the stage basically said, if that happens, then you're just going to have the trans men who are now women, beating the women who are now trans men. And it'll be kind of like a similar situation where it's just men taking opportunities away from women. And I'm like, well, I kind of understand that point of view, but also at least now we have the option to choose, would you like to, choose? And I don't know what the landscape is going to be in 5, 10, 20 years from now.
But it could be separate divisions there. Trans men versus trans men and trans women versus trans women.
But I hope it's not to the point where a natural born woman has to decide whether or not she wants to compete against a trans woman, and if she chooses no, then she loses her opportunities.
Right. But that's what shouldn't be, because I have 2 daughters, so
yeah,
the thought of raising my kids to do, whatever sport, like my kid asked me, Dad, I want to play football. I was like, you're 11. I don't want you running and getting your head crushed in right now. I'm really not thinking about that.
Yeah.
But if it's something that she really decides she wants to do, as a dad, I have to back her up, right? I got to teach her and let her go. And if she trains and does all the right stuff, I know a lot of great coaches, aka Jaywalk. You would coach her. You don't have a choice. To be this football star, right? And then all of a sudden, she has to, go against Barry Bonds. Like, no, it's not a good idea. Like, you know what I mean? So, and to lose scholarships, money, schooling, opportunities.
Yeah.
I just think that's a little rough.
I mean, it kind of goes back to the first question you asked me. What's it like to be a pioneer in this sport? I've been a pioneer in all my sports. I wrestled in high school on a boys team. I went to college, but at that time in 2005 to 2009, I'm old. There was only 6 women's wrestling teams in the U.S. Now there's a buttload, and very happy for that. I'm so happy to see women's wrestling, women's sports in general grow. But take that into consideration. My whole life, I've been a little girl trying to create space for women on these male-dominated type sports, wrestling, MMA, whatever. My whole life, high school all the way till now. Fighting, grinding, bleeding, sweating, sacrificing.
So now, if you piggyback on that, and here, guys, when we talk about this, or at least for me, I'm pretty sure it's the same. I don't care if you want to be gay, straight, trans. I could give 2 shits, to be honest. And if that's what you want, good for you. Do you. Whatever makes you happy and that's how you live your life, dope. But just how you are saying you had to fight to have equality and do things and you create it, that's their fight now, right? They have to fight. If you want to play in sports, well, guess what? This is your new way of life. These things don't exist, so now you have to create it, right? So if people are contesting you doing this or that, guess what? Here's an opportunity for you to create a league. here's an opportunity for you to do this. And it's right, just as women are doing, and there was only 6 teams, now there's a whole bunch. Maybe there isn't a trans team, but now there could be. And in 5 or 10 years, there might be 5. In 10 years, there could be 20.
I love that because that's literally what I did when I was in high school. I joined the, shout out Ukai High Wrestling, my little hometown. I joined the boys wrestling team as a sophomore, no women. So the second year, and I tell this story to people who want to know my background, like how'd you be a little girl getting into boys wrestling? Well, I got into the sport and I loved it, but I looked around and I thought, damn, there's nobody my level, my skill. It's not equal. So I went out my junior year and I recruited, and I got about 20, maybe even more girls from my little high school, which is unique to get 20 females on the wrestling mat. Now, granted, after tryouts and the end of season, you're down to like 4 or 5 maybe. And that was okay because, even though the next year I got, so focused on my own college career and sports career, I didn't go out and recruit. I could have, and I could have built the team even bigger, and so that's kind of what you're saying, I think, is like, if you don't have the space, create the space.
Right.
But I didn't say, like Title IX, for example, that was a similar situation where it's, if you're familiar, and I don't want to mess this up exactly, but Title IX came into play when I was in college, and the intention was to add more women's sports. But if there wasn't enough women's sports, unfortunately, they started taking away the men's sports. Now, I understand, all of this is trying for equality, but sometimes when you try so hard for equality, you go past the line and you start taking opportunities away from other people. And that's what happened with Title IX. And it was so sad because I love wrestling, not women's wrestling. I love wrestling because wrestling is wrestling. Fighting is fighting, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see any programs taken away. It didn't matter if it was a female's or a male's. I want the sport to grow in general. So, I understand what you're saying, and I think that's a great idea. And 10 years ago, I said the same thing, a transgender division. Just to start and just to have a space and a place. And, I'm, if you know me personally, if you listen to my podcast, if you've had a conversation with me, I am all about be you, be unique, be an individual, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm all for, whether it's LGBTQAI+, I do not care.
Yeah.
You know why I learned all the alphabet? Because I care. I care about everybody's equality. Everybody deserves to be happy. And we're going to figure it out. I do. I don't know what the future looks like, but it will get figured out.
Yeah. Now, we fast forward from the start through the middle, and we'll skip everything in the middle and go to the end. Your last competition didn't go the way we wanted, but for reasons that the people don't know. Because generally the public doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? The public usually, well, it's fucking excuses. And well, most of them are couch potatoes who've never fought a day in their life.
Yeah.
Most fighters, actually I would probably say a whopping 90 percentile, don't take a fight without some type of injury. Yeah. Is it some type of major injury, though, which I consider a major injury, something that prohibits you from doing what you would normally do, like movement. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, maybe a knee injury that you sustained a few weeks prior to fight.
Yeah. And like you said, it's, if you're a fighter, a real fighter, you don't ever want to talk about your reasons the fight didn't go your way, because no matter how you phrase it, no matter when you talk about it, it always sounds like an excuse. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, we just want to go in there and perform our best. Yeah, we want to win the fight, but especially these last few fights for me, because I had to deal with so many different injuries, it was more of like, okay, I'm going to take this fight, even though maybe I could have, should have, would have pulled out in certain situations, but I didn't, and I think the UFC has always appreciated that about me. If I can fight, I will. Even if maybe I shouldn't fight, I will. Even if people are telling me all across the world, don't fight a certain person, I will take the fight. Yeah. And, I tell the younger fighters, it's like, you should have someone in your life that protects you from yourself, right? Because most fighters, real fighters, anytime Donald Cerrone, I don't care, anyone, anytime,
Hey, man, that's when I was doing it a long time ago, long time ago. That's how it was. There was never a, it wasn't that,
But now we've become smarter with training, smarter with our careers, smarter with recovery. The sport has evolved immensely, even since I started. And I'm, you've been doing it way longer than I have.
But do you like, controversial take, I still prefer it. I still prefer the guy that will fight anyone, anytime, and go out on his shield. Like, I think that's why Donald Cerrone is so popular. I think that's why they still have Clay Guida. I still think that's why you have some of those guys. They may not win every fight, but they will always fight. Like, one of my favorite fights, I think, was UFC, I want to say 200. I think it was 200? When Anderson Silva fought Cormier. Took the fight on 2 days. Everyone in the world told him don't take it. It's not your weight class. You're going up against a wrestler. It's the best guy on the planet. Why would you do this? You just came off. You're not ready. You came off vacation. You're overweight. Why would you take this? And he's literally in an interview crying, saying, this is what I am. It's who I am. It's what I do. Yes, money's important things, but I'm a martial artist. Challenging myself is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think that I loved him even more. I was like, the fucking greatest fighter ever. Anderson Silva's shout out. To me, he's probably one of the greatest fighters on the planet.
Yeah.
But not just because of his skill set, but his like that Bushido style lifestyle. He's just a warrior.
Yeah.
So I always appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're going to have the spectrum of fans and supporters, right? The people who look at fighting from all angles, not just what happens in the cage,
Yeah.
but people who, number one, do it themselves so they understand. Number three, the fans who are diehard fans and they watch the training, they watch everything,
Yeah.
And then, like, just your rinky dink, like your couch potatoes, like you said. So you get the spectrum. And at the end of the day, you learn through trial and error that you're never going to please everybody.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, like, who matters? You and maybe a fucking handful of people, your coaches, your partner, friends, maybe, like, what they think about. But it's hard because I think legacy is a huge thing in combat sports or any sports, right?
And competitors, really.
Yeah, and it's like you want to be remembered, your legacy, like what will live on when you're done, especially for an athlete, because we have such a short window. Mm-hmm. We're not rock stars. I saw the Rolling Stones recently rocking in their 70s, like wild. We're not going to be, doing our love, our passion until we're 70. It's a short fucking window. It breaks my heart when I think about it because you don't even know how short the window is until you get close to the window, to the end of the window.
Dude, I'm outside the window and I'm coaching kids in it, and I've had multiple breakdowns training my guys. That's literally me crying at the window. I want to come back in, please. I can still kick the shit out of you. Just let me back in.
You should have allowed nature to take its course.
So let me the fucking house!
Yeah.
And it's like your body just doesn't do it. So being retired is not easy, man. And you're on the cusp, which is why I bring it to this topic. What's next for the Rebel? What does she do?
Well, I mean, like we were saying, with, legacy and, why you take fights, even though you have injuries, or even though maybe, you could potentially wait a little bit longer or say no or whatever it is, right? It's because even though you know better, there's something inside of you, just like Anderson, and I'm gonna get emotional.
It's okay.
It's such a like a double-edged sword, right? The same thing that makes you a great fighter and never wanting to say no to a fight, regardless of who you're fighting, is the same thing that can get you fucked up. And it can fuck up your career and it can fuck up your legacy because you just can't control it no matter what.
Yeah.
you gotta fight. You just gotta fight. And you will risk life and limb to do it. Winning all out, you're not really a warrior. You're just an athlete, you know?
Yeah.
But you don't know the difference in your heart, you know? And so, circling back here, sorry, forgive me. Moving forward, you know, my legacy, especially with these last couple fights, it's not what I want to leave out there. I don't want to leave that taste in you know, I don't want, you know, I'll say like the general public, or like the fight community, you know, I'd say the fight community more so than the general public, like, because I respect my mixed martial arts community more than I do the general public. Sorry guys. Yeah. Just, you know, that's my people. And you know, even though I know and you know and my immediate people, we know that the injuries I had, I could have performed better. The fight community, you know, they don't. And so I do care about my legacy in that regard. And moving forward, all I got to do is focus on fighting again and performing the way that I can perform. The way I performed in the Fallon Fox fight, or some of my better fights. Some people may not care about that. They may just want to go in there, fight a bunch, and then whatever happens, happens. But, you know, I would like to be remembered as a great fighter, as a skilled fighter, as an entertaining fighter. And the last couple fights with the injuries and, you know, the timing and the way they went down, I don't think that those were good depictions of who I am, who I truly am as a fighter and a competitor. And I just am not okay leaving that taste, not only in my own mouth, but the mouth of the mixed martial arts community, the general public, you know, whoever's going to watch my fights later. Like, that's not the lasting legacy that I want. I don't plan on having children. So for me, you know, what I do, like, this is my legacy, and my fighting career is a big part, even though it's a small window, like we said. So moving forward, I will fight again.
Dope. See, that's what I was questioning. Is, are we going to see you again?
Of course.
All right.
And
heard it here first, bitches.
News! News!
And it's because, you know, I'm 36, you know, maybe by the time I fight, I'm 37. And, you know, I'm not hurting for money. You know, I have had some injuries, so I could be smart and you know, hang it up or whatever, right? But I just can't, you know. Number one, I love the sport. I just want to continue fighting. But number two, I have unfinished business.
Yeah.
You know, the fighter that I was 10 years ago is still the fighter that I am right now, but I'm even more skilled than I was back then, but I haven't had the opportunity to show it. Yeah. And to me, that eats at me. And I don't want to walk around, you know, with
I wish I
that weight on my shoulders. So I'm not going to do what I did before, because I was between a rock and a hard place with the UFC. I'm going to, number one, get my body firing on all cylinders. Number two, I'm going to be as hungry as ever, like I am right now. And, you know, wherever I fight, whatever organization, whatever opponent, when I do fight, it will be the real version of me. And if I decide to retire after that, I can live with myself, if that makes sense.
No, I understand.
You know, and so injuries are a part of the sport. I get it. And as I get older, I'm not going to get...
any less injured.
Any less, you know, yeah. But, you know, moving forward now, I wish I could give you a time, a date, you know, an organization, all that.
My biggest thing is just curiosity of, is that where your mind's at? Is your mind at fighting again? Is it not fighting again?
I'll tell you something really personal right now. And it moved me and it crushed me when he said this, but my partner and I were at home, and, you know, maybe like a month or so had passed from my fight in July. And he was talking to me about the future. And I wasn't even saying much. He was just talking to me about, you know, where we're going to move from here, you know, what organization, you know, what weight class, that kind of stuff. And he could just see on my face that I wasn't enthused. And he said something to me, and it stuck with me. And he said, "Babe, look, I know you're really hurt right now, and you're disappointed, and you're sad. But I know that you're not done fighting. You may feel like you want to quit right now because, the loss or whatever reason. But he said, and if you want to quit, I will let you quit fighting. But I will not let you quit fighting because your heart is broken. Quit fighting when you're done.
Yeah.
Don't quit fighting because fighting has broken your heart and your heart is broken. And, I'm such a mushy. I'm just like, cry. But he was right. Like, my heart is broken. Fighting has broken my heart so many times.
Yeah.
But just like fucked up love, you will go back to someone who has broken your heart because you think you can make it better or whatever. And usually you can't with love,
Right.
But with fighting, it's different and you can. And so I will quit when I'm good and ready, but not because I'm a sad sack.
Yeah.
Because I'm done. I gave it my all and it's time and it's not time.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Losing hurts, right? And breaks your heart. And people are not going to understand this unless you fought before, but even winning sometimes breaks your heart because you miss it so much. It's such a different level of accomplishment and pride and skill and challenge. It's so different that you work all these months and months and years and months and months and months, train, and it's over in 3, 6, 9, anywhere between 1 to 15 minutes. It's over. Oh, listen, I did it. Yeah. What do I do with myself now? On to the next one, right? And then sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Or I'll wait, and it doesn't happen. So then you're just it's almost depressing. It's like it's weird, right?
Yeah.
I said, next thing, you always want more, right?
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of what I had to come to terms with when I stopped drinking. When I was drinking, and just life in general, my thought process used to be like, what next, right? Like, I would always look forward to, the training, and then after training, it'd be like, how can we celebrate or party or have a good time? And then I would look forward to that, and then I would look forward to the fight. And it was like always a future date. And this is going to sound all hip, woo-woo or whatever, but when I stopped drinking, I had to try to find a way to be happy with life. Because I used to be that kind of person that, if we weren't drinking or, the hopes of drinking in the future, it was like, man, life is boring. Like, what? It's cool, but it would be even cooler if we're drinking,
What's our sober number now?
Sober number? Like how many years?
Yeah.
July was 4 years for me.
Nooks.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Yeah, it's surreal. And to anybody out there who is struggling with sobriety, the first year they say that's the hardest. That shit's true. Second year it gets easier. Everybody's journey is different, but I'll tell you, I'm on year 4 now. Man, this shit is so much easier. Like, it's just, you get used to it. Like I was saying, it's like you have to find the happiness in just life.
Yeah.
And so with fighting, going back to what you were saying, a lot of us fighters, we're always like the next fight day, the next training day, the next competition. We want that next rush of endorphins, the high, the alcohol, the buzz, the good feeling, the suppression of whatever else you're running from. And a lot of us fighters, we're running from some fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're not drowning it with a substance, you're probably drowning it with training. You're overtraining and you're training so hard you can't even have time to think about the sad or crazy or bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's all of us. And with fighting, especially recently as I get into my twilight years, God, that makes me sound ancient, but like my twilight years of my career, right? Like, I know that there's a day coming up where I'm not going to be fighting. And in anticipation of that time of my life, I'm trying to just appreciate the journey. And that is the corniest shit that you hear over and over and over.
Yeah, dude, but this is why I like doing these interviews with people, because I talk to retired fighters, active fighters, up-and-coming fighters, kids who are 14 years old who've never fought, that have aspirations to do it, right? And no matter who you talk to, it's like, I want to do it. I am doing it. Oh, man, this is so much fun. I'm having the greatest time. I miss it. Fuck, I'd give anything to go back. A good friend of mine now, he's 62, and he told me the other day, because Uriah Hall was here training with us, And Uriah's like, oh man, I'm all like, my hips, da-da-da. I was like, bro, you're 30-something, shut up. Shut up. And he was like, dude, I would give 2 years of my life to have 5 minutes to show you what I could have done in my prime with you. I'm like, think about that. You're 62. We talk about how old you are. And you say you know your time's coming, right? But you would still give up 2 years of your life. Legitimately give it up.
Uriah Hall's not 62.
No. Our friend that was training with us.
Oh, I was like,
no,
you're
Uriah's
aging Uriah.
30-something. No,
Okay,
Uriah's
okay,
30.
okay.
But he told me and Uriah, he was telling us too, like, I would give up 2 years of my life to have 5 minutes of what I was in my prime to train with you boys now.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, Jesus. Because I think I'm 42, and I look at kids who are, in their 30s like yourself, and I'm just like, man, you're still doing it though. Just fucking enjoy it, because I promise you when it's over, oh, fuck. Kills me.
I know.
So now I'm like, he's 20 years my senior. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And you're even more fucking obsessed and crazy than I am. I can't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
So it's fucking mind-blowing.
It's the love for the sport you see in certain people that is so similar to addiction that you're like, yo, bro, this ain't good for you. Oh, you're going to keep doing it? You can hurt yourself over and over and over? Okay, you an addict. You addicted to combat sports.
Dude, so here's a fun fact for you guys. I've never drank, never smoked, never done a drug, nothing ever in my whole life.
What?
Yeah, so I'm 42
Not
years
even
sober.
once?
No. I've tasted some alcohol. Do you know what it tastes like? But it tastes like shit. I'm like, why do you guys drink this? It's disgusting.
Yep.
When I was like maybe 16 or so, I took a puff of a cigarette because my friends had it, and I started coughing. I was like, you guys are morons. Why would you do this? Like, it tastes like shit, and you can't stop coughing. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I just never got it. And I just never stuck to it, right? So it was just never for me. And then it became a personal thing, just to not do it, because of the DARE program actually worked. They came to our school and did a program.
It actually worked.
And there was a comedian there, and he was talking about how he was umpteen years sober. And I looked at my friend, because I was in junior high, and I'm like, what does sober mean? So we talking about? He's like, oh, he's never done these. I was like, I bet you I can never do it. Why are these people all so happy that he didn't do it? Who fucking cares? Yeah. So for me, it's just been personal ever since then, because he said he did. I was like, I could just never do it.
Do you, and this is a deep question, but, at the 4-year mark, I can say that I'm finally at a place in my own sobriety where I can, like, understand that the things we do are because of unresolved issues from our childhood or our current life, or things that we're afraid to, talk about or to be or whatever, right? So I'm wondering, from your point of view, did you ever think that you didn't drink or do drugs because to me, if you know Frankie, like, this is a happy motherfucker, and he's like hardworking, and so a lot of people that I know that are alcoholics or whatever, they struggle with it. It's because they're not happy with themselves. Yeah. Like, did you ever have those kind of like, issues inside that made you want to like escape reality, or have you always been pretty fucking content with yourself and just dealt with your own stuff?
Fuck. No, I had I wasn't allowed to say things like I can't. My grandmother would smack me in the mouth. Don't say that. You just work harder. Just because our whole family's big, but some of our family's like big, like, so I was never a small kid. I don't think I was under 200 pounds since like 5th grade. Okay. Like, I mean, just big. Yeah. But I never really thought about anything like that. I mean, there's past traumas and dumb shit as a kid that you go through and stuff, and like, just some bad stuff that unfortunately happened with us, but I didn't really weigh too much on that. It wasn't until I got probably when I wanted to get into fighting. It was for fitness. For me, it was I just wanted to lose weight, right? But I wanted to lose weight to do stuff, not because I couldn't even wash my car. Like, I was big, like I was like, it was bad. So for me, it was just fitness. And then once I got into it, it was like I drowned myself in it. I just really liked it. But I was a pussy. I never wanted to fight. Frank, you're so like athletic, for a big guy, you should do this. And I was like, fuck no, bro, go get in the face. I'm a pussy. No, not gonna happen. And then after my divorce and, some things were happening in my personal life, like you said, like there's just things you go through. And I was like, yeah, man, fuck it, sign me up, I'm down. And then I was scared to death the whole time. And I won. And that feeling of accomplishment was like, at such a different, I've never experienced it before, right? not team sports. It's just nothing compared to that. Not ever. Just nothing.
Yeah.
So I just stuck with it. And every time I took a fight or accepted a fight, I was scared to death. I didn't want to do it. That part of fighting I hated. That anticipation, I'm not a fan of that because I'm such an emotional person. So, but once you get in there and the second you get touched,
Yeah.
it's normal. You're just in the office. You're just like, whoop. It's like it's like a Zen moment. Everything slows down.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Oh, here we go. Like, and it's just it's a mental chess game. It's physical chess to me. Like that's how I look at fighting. It's not personal to me.
Yeah.
And once I got more into that stuff, that's kind of how it was. But then when I looked back at like some of the things I was doing, how much I was in the gym, like I'll never forget my coach, Jason, Frank, you need to go home. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, dude, I got here, you were here, it's fucking dark, go home. And then I just realized I was avoiding a lot of things with home. And I was, what the fuck? Oh. Well, because the gym gave me that, you know? So then I love the gym even more because it gave me an outlet. And then personal stuff at home and family, like, especially with drinking and drugs and stuff, it was very prevalent in my family.
Okay.
And
Wow.
a lot of it, like, a lot.
Even more impressive to hear that you didn't go that way.
I was the black sheep.
Yeah.
Because of and to most of my family, I was not. Like, as far as cousins, stuff like that, right? Because I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, and our family was not horrible. But there was moments that were just not good. And some of those moments, I was like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then, because I wasn't, I felt like, almost like you're discriminated. Like, you're looked at bad. Like, why don't you do this? Why not you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're all doing it. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So, and then it wasn't, sometimes it wouldn't act for me, like a story with my dad and my grandma. I was so mad at my dad for giving me chores and stuff to do when my other siblings didn't have to when I was working and they weren't. I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck? Like, I know the things that they do, whether you know it or not. I go to work, I do all these things, and why am I held to this standard? And you don't like it, get out, this kind of stuff. But it was tough love, and in the time I didn't like it because it was pissed me off. Now I appreciate it because it strengthened me. And my grandpa told me, he's like, dude, it's not because he doesn't love you, it's because he knows you can do more.
You're capable of more than, not to put your siblings down, but if they weren't showing signs of...
Yeah, and they're doing better now, but it took them longer to do.
Of course.
Right? So, and the gym was just a way out. It's just a way for me to...
Escape.
Yeah.
It sounds like...
It's 100%
an escape.
my addiction.
Of course.
I'm 42. I made extremely good money in sales. I've always been in sales and corporate America my whole life, which people didn't know. I ran multiple companies, but the stress of sales pressure, bosses, sitting in a cubicle from 9 to 5, and then longer than that, obviously, because you want to be the best salesman you can be.
Yeah.
That life, man, is just fucking... It's fake. It's false safety. You're not safe because I thought I was safe, and then all of a sudden, certain things happen in the world and economics, and money changed. Divorce, like all these things happen, and all of a sudden, all the money and things you think you had are gone. They disappeared. Right. So now I'm like, wait a minute. I just dedicated all this stuff to this. What the fuck? Where did my safety net go? So once I realized I could lose everything, then I don't want to do this. I don't like it. I'm doing stuff I don't want to do. I don't want to work here. And I'm not really safe. So if I can put all the chips on me, bet on myself, and do something I love to do, and get my high and keep my addiction, right? Then if I can't fight, then I want to be around fighting.
Yeah.
How do I make a living doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I dedicated my life to learn Thai boxing. I love it. I love teaching it. I love being around it. I love meeting people who love it. I love to teach it. I love the intricacies of it. All of it, right? So if I can do that, how do I monetize that?
Yeah.
Reach out to people smarter than me, right? And told them this is what I want to do. This is what I want, and how do I do it? And they said, this is how. And fuck, here we are, 7.5 years later.
I love it.
MMT, we're still here because I'm
Frankie.
addicted to the shit.
And not only have you found a way to continue to be a part of what you love, even after your retirement, and not only did it allow you to escape when you were a child, inform you as a man, but you continue to give back to the community, you know, your fellow fighters, your students. To me, that is your legacy. I know you have children. That is your legacy. Yeah. But like, when I'm not looking at your kids, talking to your kids, when I'm just thinking about Frankie, I'm thinking badass Muay Thai guy, sunshine personality, would give the shirt off his back to help someone he may not even fucking know. I saw you the other day. We're here in, this is Laguna or Mission?
Laguna Niguel.
Laguna Niguel. Train station right across the street. Sometimes you get some shady characters. For me, I got my hood senses always on guard because I live in a shitty area. So this guy comes in and I'm thinking like, okay, Frankie's gonna kick this guy out. This is for gym members only, whatever. Nope. Frankie's like, what's up, my man? Super kind, welcoming. And this guy didn't look like he was here for a gym membership.
No.
What did Frankie do? Says, what's up? Welcomes him. How can I help you? The guy was just, you know, looking for some water and wanted to use the bathroom. Frank said, come on, use my bathroom. And even gave the guy a free bottle of water and sent him on his way. And that's just one tiny little, you know, interaction I've seen. But that was like the last time I remember you talking to someone outside the gym. And it was just such a kind, warm interaction. Yeah. And that is you. And so like your legacy is strong, my man.
That's what I want to pass on.
You are exuding it now, you know, through word of mouth, through people talking. Like, I'm always telling people, you know, like, about you, coming here, like, and it's not, you know, you have great skill, you have great technique, but this sport is so, like, tough guy.
Oh.
It's such a it's such a fucking surprise and just, like, warm welcome here in MMT that you wouldn't think you're gonna get from a combat sports gym.
Yeah.
And I love it, Frankie. So you're killing it.
That's literally why I developed this way, why I did the white and the pink and stuff, to make it inviting. I remember going to gyms and parking there and be like, fuck, I do not want to go in there. It's going to be a fucking shit show. Everyone's somebody, and this guy doesn't like you, or this one's fucking mean mugging you. Like, there's so much testosterone. We all know why we're here. We're all here to test our skill and to sharpen each other and get better. I don't give a fuck who you are, man. You put steel on steel and you rub it together, it's gonna hurt, man. You know, there's no reason for me to be a prick to you.
Yeah.
Just smile, hey, man. We're gonna get better. It's gonna hurt a little bit. Let's do this. You know what I mean? But I didn't want that to be here. You're gonna, dude. Trust me. And my fighters know. I have fighters now that are up and coming guys. And one dude went to the doctor and he's got a bone bruise from some of the leg conditioning that we did. Right? It fucking hurts, man. Right? But I smiled before it started, and we're smiling now. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be like that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's part of fighting. That's some of the stuff of competing that I don't miss. I don't miss that.
Yeah.
The weight cutting, the weigh-ins, and I didn't cut weight. I'm super heavyweight, so don't you internet trolls try to come at me. Just shut up. But my friends did. So being there for them, you know? Yeah. But just so much testosterone and it's like, dude, fucking relax. We're all about to go showcase our skill. What is your deal back here? We're all going through the same thing. You would think, logically, you would want to make it a more friendly, fun, relaxing environment to be in because we're about to go put our body to the maximum stress.
Yeah.
How far can I push myself before I literally break, right? What the fuck am I doing it back here for, right? Yeah. So that kind of stuff, this is why I just try to be welcoming, be open.
Yeah, and it's hard, you know, because especially as a female, you feel the energy in the gym, the testosterone, the egos, and you almost feel that you have to match it, you know, like put on this like facade of like, I'm a tough bitch. I mean, you are a tough bitch, but it's like, now that I'm older, I am so much more impressed with the type of person who can go into the gym, grind, train, be a fucking athletic badass, but not have that ego, the chip on their shoulder, smile, you know, enjoy the process. Like that is harder than what we just talked about previously. Walking to the gym, you know, your tough guy face on, go in there, then you're like, damn, you know. Yeah. And it reminds me of a story that my old coach, Adam Lynn, you know, the coach that coached me while I fought the transgender.
I love Adam. So shout out to you, Adam.
Yeah,
Just do my own.
Adam is amazing. Just an OG motherfucker. He told me something one day. We had hard sparring Fridays, and it was the type of sparring where everybody watches. It's just you and
Adds the pressure.
Yeah, adds the pressure. It's just like, and it's beautiful. It's just a great, what's the word I'm looking for? Just simulation of actual fighting. And we going hard in there. And I'm going against one of my guy teammates, and maybe it was Justin Governal. I feel like it was to him because he was one of my best teammates back then for that fight. And Adam and Justin was beating my ass, whatever. And I remember like being on the side of the cage. The round was done, and I'm visibly frustrated, and I'm tearing up. Maybe I'm back in the locker room. I don't remember exactly, but I remember Adam sat next to me, and he said these words, and he said. It was so harsh. It was like tough love, but he was like, what are you upset about? And I'm, I didn't do this, whatever. He's like, hey, this is a fucking hard sport. If you're not happy, if you don't love this, why are you even doing it? Why are you even here? Just fucking go. And he got up and he walked away. And I'm like, well, fuck, mind fucked. I'm like, he's so fucking right. Like, the sport's hard enough. Why the fuck are you beating yourself up about it? Yeah. All you can do is go in there, enjoy the process, try your fucking best, and whatever happens, just keep showing up. Yeah. And it was that tough love from Adam that he would give me sometimes. Like always these little like stoic nuggets of advice. And I would take that shit with me forever, Right. And I think if you have a good coach and, as your career transpires and evolves and whatnot, you should always take nuggets from every single coach.
100%. I concur.
He's had some great nuggets.
Just a quick touch on how she said, guys, you come into a space with testosterone, like you have to match that energy, right? That's the same thing that the male does. The male will see that and feel like he has to match it. You don't. It's a male and female thing, right? We all do that as people, but we shouldn't. That's the part, right? It's why. The question is we peel back a layer that nobody does. They just sit and, that's the easy answer. Well, the answer is, the question should be, why is he this way?
Yeah.
Usually it's insecure. What are you insecure about? Are you scared you might lose? Right? I understand. I'm scared I might lose too. Right? So for me, I would smile and go meet my opponents and take the edge off. Because that was easy. It made me understand they're human. Right? Because in my head, you're a fucking cyborg and I can't beat you. Right? But once I understand you're human and my hand touches yours, now everything changes in my mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that helped me a lot. Hopefully it helps a lot of people. Dude, everybody is just human. You don't have to freak out so much.
Yeah, right? And I'm very big on like, hey, do whatever you got to do to get your mind right for this sport. Because it's wild. And if you got to hype yourself up and do all this stuff, like, I get it, okay? But I think, as you learn the culture of MMA, you realize you can be that guy, kind of like a Sean Strickland, who is the champ now, so obviously it fucking worked for him, but that crazy mofo he's known as the guy that goes into multiple gyms and just spars hard and doesn't give a fuck about his, he's not the kind of guy like, if you break all your toys, you got nothing to play with. Sean doesn't fucking care, so you can be that person, or you can be the person that comes in like you, that's like, what's up, guys? We're all here,
Yeah.
You both are badass motherfuckers, but it's just what kind of energy do you want to bring to the gym and what helps you?
Yeah.
And I feel like as I get older, that, pump myself up ego, like that doesn't help me. It kind of gives me anxiety now.
Yeah.
I now, as like a evolved fighter, need to find like the peace and the happiness in my sport. Similar to someone I interviewed, Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy. This guy is all, but then you talk to him on a deep level about mindset for 5 fucking minutes and you're like, maybe I've been going about this wrong the whole fucking time. Like, why do you have to be like, like, why can't you be happy now, happy walking to the cage, and happy fighting? You can. It's hard, and you got to really switch things up in your mind. Yeah. But that's the beauty of evolving as a fighter, evolving as a human, as a woman, as a man. Yeah. That's the tough shit. You can lift weights all day.
Right.
But to change your mind.
And that's why I like my analogy with physical chess. Because that's what fighting is to me. And that's why it's fun. when someone takes a move or takes a rook or does something, you're like, motherfucker, I didn't even see that coming, man. Not bad. Shit. And you got to figure it out, right? It's the same. Fighting is great to me because it's 100% accountability. You can't blame anyone.
Yeah.
If you land a shot, you did it right. Good job. If you got hit, you fucked up. You did it wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? It's all on you. It's never the guy, right? Because we can all punch. We're all vulnerable and we're all offensive and all that stuff. But it's on you, your setups, your baits, your tricks, and all the stuff to do what you do. So I think that's one of the things that makes the sport great. And it makes it fun. That's why for me, like when people see me spar, do stuff, they're like, is this motherfucker smiling at me? Because if you land something in my head, I was like, hey, good job.
Yeah.
Either I didn't see it or I gave it to you to land something, or I set you up right or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. It's a game. It's just a mental game. Right?
Yeah.
So I think when that state changes versus I got to kill you, fuck, blah, blah, like it's like you're losing sight of a lot, I think.
Yeah, and I'm also like trying to be more aware of how I'm expending my energy, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that anxiety and like I think that there's a benefit into finding a way to prepare yourself, pump yourself up, whatever you want, get ready for sparring or training or competing without expending that anxiety. And, I'm, over a decade into my career and I'm still working on it. So it's just hard, like we were saying, it's like changing your mind versus your body. Like that's the real like Jedi mind shit. Like that is the stuff that is the hard stuff. But I think that's the stuff that is the fine line between, an athlete that can compete at the highest level or, the person who's going to be able to be, perform their best versus be, what do you call it when you're like in the gym.
Just like a gatekeeper.
A gatekeeper or just like someone who performs amazing in the gym versus someone who can like put it together, is like that mindset, that process. And, that's almost one of my favorite things to talk to fighters about on my sex podcast is like, because when you dig into it, like everybody's process is so different. Mm-hmm. And, everyone's evolving constantly as well.
So most people talk to most fighters I've never had a chance to ask a female fighter this, so this will be fun. Where do you go numb pre-fight? Enter the ring, they're talking, in this corner, da-da-da-da.
Oh, it's the same as you. Anxiety, anxious, trying to calm myself until...
That numb feeling, like for me, like example, is my elbows. You see me rolling this, I feel like I can't lift my arms. Like if I punch, my arm's going to go through you.
Oh, do you mean like
noodle.
Not numb in a good way. Like I thought you meant like numb mentally, like it's fucking like go time.
Like physically, like I asked Kelvin and a bunch of fighters when we went to go see CT and some people, right?
Okay.
And I asked them, I said, man, where you guys go numb at? And they all looked at me like I was high on a kite. I'm like, don't tell me none of you guys are nervous and you don't feel like... Kel was like, nah, man, my legs. When you see me jumping up and down before the fight, he's like, it's my legs. Like, I got to get my legs back. Like, it's that where your anxiety sets in.
Well, I mean, for me, I never have the best warm-ups. I can tell myself, and I do, you tell yourself that was a badass warm-up, but backstage, because of the nerves and the anxiety and whatever you're going through, for me personally, I don't feel the same crispness, the same snap that I normally do when I'm preparing, when I'm not fighting, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I know a lot of factors come into play. The weight cut, the nerves, maybe it's a new coach, whatever it is. But I don't have a specific body limb that goes numb. I would say it's just like a feeling of like, okay, like this is not ideal, but like I know when I get hit, it will turn on. And, with the exception of like the last couple fights because of injuries and whatnot, like it's never steered me wrong. Usually I was a gamer. Usually when the lights hit, I perform better in the cage than I do in the gym. Mm-hmm. But with injuries and whatnot and anxieties and stuff that you need to overcome, it's not always the same result. So, yeah, I don't get numb in a specific area. Yeah.
Because I know a lot of fighters, it's a lot of the boys that I talk to, it was either elbows like mine, like they felt like their arms were like noodles, or it was the knees, like they just had to jump because they felt like I don't even know if it's like a weak in the knee feeling. Like it's just a.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and like everybody's different. I'm sure there's somebody that could tell you, yeah, right before I fight, I feel this, or, my favorite is Mike Tyson's story, and because the sex podcast probably, but there's a story that Mike Tyson's security guard came out with in his book years later, basically saying that Tyson would have women hiding in his bathroom before these fights because he said that if he didn't have sex, he would actually kill his opponent. And he would walk out of the bathroom after having sex with a lady and be like, oh, okay, this guy can live now. And be like, crack, and then go out. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's wild. It's just like, that's what I'm saying. Everybody, hey, whatever works for you to get hyped up. If you got to smack yourself, if you got to bone somebody in the bathroom.
It's funny because so many people tell you don't have sex before fights. And I was never a big proponent of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
I understand.
Do whatever makes you happy.
You don't need to have like a
good.
long session so your legs are shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the whole thing not to do it to make you like more hungry and more like. I don't know.
But I mean, it goes back to like, do you compete better with that weird anxiety edge that people kind of feel like it's necessary? Like oh, I've got a killer edge. Yeah. Or have you found a way to relax your mind and kind of like hone in and be present and zone, I think we're all constantly working on it. Even someone who their shit is on point, the next fight could be totally different because of all these different circumstances surrounding it. The weight cut, the opponent changed, yada, yada, yada. It's such a fucking crazy sport. Yeah. You can prepare for years. I prepared for 3 fucking years. You can do everything. You can breathe, eat, live, shit, sleep, MMA. The fight, and it could not go your way. And that is the hardest part of fighting. When you finally give your whole self to it and you're not half-assing anything and you still come out short, it stabs you so deep, you know?
It hurts.
So deep. But this is not for the faint of heart, and I remind myself that all the time. You want the glory, you got to risk it all. And I risk it all every time, We all do. Every time we step into that fucking cage. We don't like to talk about it, but you could die.
Yeah.
Crazier fucking shit has happened. And, you're risking so much. Why? Because you're a fucking addict for fighting. Mm-hmm. And I'd rather be an addict for fighting than other things, so.
Yeah. It's the last 3 steps. You guys have 3 to get to the cage. We have 3 to get to the ring. They say those last 3 steps are the loneliest steps you'll ever take. Because all your team, all your coach, all your supporters, everyone that's with you along the ride, prepping you, getting you ready, you turn around, they ain't coming with you by yourself.
But I love that shit,
I do. We all do. But that's the thing that you leave that there, and now it's on you.
And that's another like crazy feeling, right? Where it's like you're walking out with your team, and you do feel that support behind you. Even though they're not going in there with you, and that last hug, especially from my partner, my coaches. Kiss on the cheek. All right, baby, go to war. Bye. And I'm like, okay, wait, okay, see you later.
You're not gonna come tell me what to do. You always tell me what to do.
Yeah. But it's such like that is my new high. Like I've held on to that. I'm like, okay, I may not party and get crazy like I used to, and I'm grateful for that. But now I realize that like that new up and down. It's not new, but the emotional roller coaster of fighting is what I've replaced partying and alcohol with.
I think it's a much better choice.
Yeah, but now I'm a little nervous, for the people who are going through the same thing where it's like, oh, you feel like you've replaced it, you're all good. Our window will close one day. And then what? Do you go back to drinking because you can't find that excitement? Or do you find something else? Yeah, you find something else.
Right. You just got to find that thing.
But what the fuck is as exciting and awesome as fighting? I haven't found it yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
One of the things I found that I still don't like is fighting. It's training with the students, training with the kids, but taking them to the events.
Yeah.
When they win, a piece of you wins. Yeah. And it feels, I'll tell you, it feels good, boy. Every time we win and people are staring at you, because a quick backtrack, my first event that we went to under my banner, under my gym for the first time, both my coaches came out. So it's low pressure. I got 4 kids fighting, and I'm nervous, right? Because now it's You have to prove it, right? Frank, you're a good fighter, but can you teach it? Yeah, of course I can. All right, well, now you got 4 kids fighting. Let's see. Prove it. Oh, shit. What if they lose? Then it means I can't do what I say I can do. They need to win. But when I fought, I always wore pink, right? Which is why there's pink accents in the gym.
Yeah.
So my logo has, not this particular shirt, but there's a pink ankle brace here, right? And I won't forget, we won all 4 fights, every round of every fight. We just dominated. And we went against some pretty good schools. And I was really happy because we fought, I think, Master Toddy's and some other really good schools that had me worried because obviously they have more experience than my fighters did. But we just trained for that specific 6 minutes, 9 minutes, whatever it is. And I'm at the concession stand getting something to drink. And these 2 kids in front of me, one of the guys like, and who are these pussies with the fucking pink on their shirt? And I'm behind him like, idiot. And the guy next to him goes, he's like, dude, you can't talk shit. They've won every fight. And I was just like, nice. So it's like that sense of pride when the kids win, especially when you know the kids' stories.
Yeah.
Because everyone has a story and their why, right? So that becomes now almost an addiction, is to, I don't want to say fix, but to help them achieve the feeling that you had, because you know how great it is to the next generation to just feel that moment once.
Yeah.
I felt it multiple times. You felt it multiple times. Even with the bad, you still felt the great multiple times. Just feel it once. If I can give you that feeling one time, life is worth it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that has become the addiction.
Yeah. I love that, and you and I both know the power of helping someone feel that feeling just once.
Yeah.
It's like it's like that, it's like with the drug. It only
Yeah.
takes, just have one time and then you're hooked,
It's free. First one's on me.
First one's free. Yeah. I got this one. And they're coming back for more. Yeah. And it's so good because, it is the healthier addiction.
Yeah.
And, you really do have to be addicted to this to do it, because if you're not going to do it and you're not going to sacrifice and go balls to the wall, this is not the sport for you.
Correct.
And you know that.
Yeah, which that's the fine line of running a business and fighters at the same time, is everybody's why is different. Everyone thinks they want to fight until you put them through a hard training session. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. Do I want to do this anymore? Do I want to be a member here? Yes, you want to be a member. Bro, the fighting world is a 1% of 1%. It's the population of people that actually do it on an insane level is so small. It's crazy small. So you shouldn't never, this goes to a lot of people and members and past members and people who are thinking about joining. There's no expectation, for you to fight. I could care less if you want to fight because, like I said, I was never a big fan of it myself. I loved the outcome, right? There's a lot of things I didn't like. But you should never feel bad. But what you should do is challenge yourself to do something that is different, that's hard to do, and that nobody else in the world wants to do because it's scary.
Yeah.
Right? It is 100% accountability. Am I as tough as I think I am?
Yeah.
I'm a bad motherfucker. You don't want to see me, bro. If I get mad and I see red, I just kill everyone. Well, there's a place to prove it. And now, what if you can't prove it? Are you less of a man? No, you're not less of a man. You're just human, dude. Right? Same thing. You're not less of a girl. It just doesn't mean anything. It just means you're here challenging yourself. You're learning.
Yeah.
Right? And do the best you can.
Yeah. And people who are afraid to fight, I'd say beginners, right? And they think about fighting and they get scared. Pain. But pain, in my opinion, or, getting hit or kicked hard, whatever, that is the least of your worries. To me, it's the loss, not because it's a loss, but because after you lose and you dedicate yourself to this really fucking hard sport and you do all these things necessary just to make it to the fight, cut weight, weigh in, whatever, right? And then you lose. And then that's when the hard part sets in, but the also rewarding part. And unfortunately, I've had 6 times where I can say I had to, I lost, and then I had to pick myself back up, remind myself who I am, why I love this sport, why I'm doing this in the first place, and continue. Not everyone does that. Some people lose and they just fucking quit.
It's the worst thing to do.
And you know what? Maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe it didn't light your fucking soul on fire the way it does for some other people. And that's okay. But if it lights your soul on fire and you quit, that's the shame. And the beauty in fighting, in my opinion, and why I continue to do it, even though I'm fucking 6-6 now, is you feel like absolute dog shit when you lose. But the feeling after, when you pick yourself up, remind yourself who you are, and continue to do it, and you prove to yourself how badass you are, because I almost respect some people a little bit more who have had maybe losing records or, not so good records, who continue to do the sport versus someone who's 10-1 or 12-0. Like, motherfucker, you don't know hardship. Congrats. You have trained and you've put in your time. But I am more impressed with some people who you have to go through that emotional roller coaster of the loss, of losing self-identity, of, just questioning everything and then coming back. Like that process, it's ugly and it's a little scary, but it's beautiful. And that's what makes fighting great, in my opinion. Because everyone loses at some point. You're not always going to lose all the time, and you're not always going to win all the time. But what you're going to get after you lose or win, like that's the shit that makes the sport so great and turns you into a great human, I think.
Well, I can't argue with you. I agree. Unless you're Floyd or Khabib. Well, even Floyd lost in the Olympics. But I don't know about Khabib's amateur or anything else, but not very many people retire with an O.
Yeah, and I think that if he did have one loss on his record, and then years later you go back and you ask him, what fight did you learn the most from? He would probably tell you the loss. Because I guarantee he probably goes back to the drawing board and, meticulously looks at everything. And not only on a physical level, but a mental level, he's challenged because he has to realize that he's human and he can fail and all these, so I'm not, not a Khabib paper. I'm just saying that, it's a well-known thing that losses teach you more about yourself.
Dude, Michael Jordan talks about it all the time.
As a human, not just a fighter. Yeah. And so I'm grateful for this sport and for those 6 fucking painful losses. Because now, when I'm done fighting and my window is fully closed, I'm a more evolved, content, self-actualized human because of it. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the losses even though they're painful.
Yeah, they suck. This is round. Just fire off some questions and you can answer them or choose not to.
Okay.
Totally up to you.
Wow. I'm ready.
Normally I have a list of shit that I want to ask and then I prep for it. But because we've been going back and forth trying to get this scheduled, and she's busy, I'm busy, I got a lot going on here, and sometimes I got to bail or whatever, so we'll just fire them off and see. You said partner, so relationship status, partner. Dope. So that's where we're at, right?
Boyfriend?
Yeah, not single.
Oh, yeah, no.
Off the market, bitches. No DMs.
Been in a relationship for November will be 4 years. Longest ever.
Sheesh.
I know, it's wild.
Okay, now here's one. It's always going to fuck up the world. You prefer striking or grappling? Gotta pick one. None of this fucking 50-50 shit.
If I say one thing, I know I'm like...
I'll say striking. I'm a striker, so... I will say my point. You can say yours.
Like striking for the rest of my life?
No.
Just you have
your preference. Your preference when you fight. You prefer standing or grappling?
That's so hard for me.
I know it's hard because her boyfriend's a black belt.
Not even that. It's okay. This is why it's hard. Grappling got me to the big show.
Yeah.
I fell in love with striking along the way while I was there. Realized, hey, you cannot just abandon your background because you fell in love with this other discipline.
Sure.
So then you try to combine them. Mixed martial arts, right?
Right.
And now you see my fights and you're like, man, this bitch is a grappler and she's not even grappling. But because of these injuries I sustained the last, 3 years, I couldn't do as much grappling. So 100% Ashlee, grappling. But because striking is... knees, elbows, kicks, all that. It's a little bit more diverse and dynamic of a discipline for mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one over the other, I would pick striking to defend myself, because once you're grappling, what's next? And I have fallen in love with striking because, once you do a sport for so long, it's just like
something new is always fun.
Something new is always fun, right?
Sure.
But God, that's such a hard question. But yeah, grappling definitely, because at the end of the day, I love it. My heart is in it. It's just that if you're a grappler for many years, you realize it is the toughest thing on your body. I'd say more so than striking.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really do, because if you have taken shot after shot and then your knees and then just falling on the mat since I was 14, 15 years old, and then you continue to do this sport, you realize you may pull back from the grappling and beating your body up, and then you dive into the striking, so it's...
Yeah.
It's like a fucking recipe, and you gotta sprinkle a little this, sprinkle a little that.
Yeah, dude, it's intense. I have these conversations with grapplers all the time, because same thing for me. It's like shin to a knee, right? You're getting kicked in the knee, kicked in the fucking shoulders, kicked in the elbows, right? Like it's such a taxing thing on your body, your feet. Like it's hard.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they both have their things. Yeah,
we don't have to battle that. We'll leave that one there. And congratulations on your purple belt.
Thank you.
I saw that.
Thank you.
Nice
yeah,
job.
That was a total surprise, because I wasn't asking about my own status, but I was talking to my partner, who is the coach of 10th Planet Whittier, and he had his belt promotions coming up, and who are you gonna belt, blah, 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 and he's like, oh, this person, obviously didn't tell me, and so I'm there filming everybody, and when I got my purple belt, I was just like total shock, which, to be honest, given the circumstances of my life at the moment and my athletic career and whatnot, it was so beautiful, and it lit a little fire under my butt, in the sense that I forget who I am sometimes after a loss, and I think we all do. I think we need to be reminded of who we are, how far we've come, how much we've sacrificed and whatnot, and how talented and skilled we are, because we just focus on that, one loss. And that purple belt that I just got was a little reminder of how skilled I am, and how there's a bigger picture here. I shouldn't be so focused on this one fight. I should be continuing to get better as a martial artist overall. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu, striking, conditioning, my mindset, my mental game, all of this. Podcasting, because I do love it. I literally love sharing and putting a spotlight on my fellow fighters or mixed martial arts community, because I feel like that is probably what I'm going to lean heavy into when I am done fighting. I'm doing it now, but I want to fight as well. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Podcasting, fighting, what we're just talking about.
Yeah. As far as where you're going to go next.
Yes. No, we were talking about how... Brain fart. Sorry.
Because we were talking about, I said congratulations purple belt, and about what you're going to do.
Oh, no. So I was telling you about the purple belt. My bad. Yeah. So, that was a really big surprise, because, I just been fight training. I do jiu-jitsu, but the jiu-jitsu that I do is always for my fights. And this was long overdue. I have competed in jiu-jitsu tournaments where I've beaten brown and black belt females, and I've got my purple belt from my blue belt from Russ Mura back in the day, and I got another purple belt from 10th Planet, Casey Halstead, who was my partner and my current coach, Mike Wilson's coach as well. So it's really nice to get that belt, but more so than just like, oh, look at me. It's like a reminder of like, okay, I lost my fight, but I can just continue the journey of being a better mixed martial artist. Mm-hmm. And so now, I want to get back in the cage, but I'm also like, it was a good reminder, like, hey, just get good at every single aspect, every discipline. And so now, brown belt, that's in my sights. And it was beautiful. And it felt...
And when you're in the area, some Thai classes here at MMT, just going to say you should come.
Yeah, I want to get better in all areas, I'm working with my sports psych for the last, year and a half, 2 years, an individual therapist, all these things that are just going to make me a better athlete. And it was just a beautiful, very unexpected thing that happened on Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Say congratulations.
I'm really impressed because we're here today. We're working out some kinks, but really I'm here to learn from Frankie. How to do video podcasting, how to edit, how to set everything up. I've done a lot of this stuff with audio, but not video. So I used to actually look, because it was audio, right? I used to have my little notes and I'd be talking to the person.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I do it on Zoom, right? But
Yeah.
they can't see me looking at my notes. So you're doing a great job, because it's everything that's going on right now is just off your head.
It's usually off the cuff, or I have an idea, but it's also, you're still running the business. Who's answering the phone? I'll hear my phone buzz, and it's like, oh, messages and seminars and different things, from the business perspective, and then it's all the stuff, right? So you do the best what you can, and my memory's not the greatest, as most people know. Most people, my students, how I have nicknames, because it's like, what the fuck's your name again? Shrek. Let's do this. Like,
I literally just lost my train of thought. Remember, I was like, we're talking about something like 2 seconds ago. I forgot. So, which is never good to talk about when you're talking to fighters, because now that I'm a little bit more educated on CTE, goddamn you, Rose Gracie. Like, Rose Gracie has this beautiful foundation. It's called the Fighting Foundation, where it basically helps current fighters, former fighters, and it has a lot to do with CTE funding for more programs to find out more about CTE, because if you're not aware, CTE is actually undiagnosable until you're dead.
Damn.
And so I haven't done this quite yet with Rose Gracie, but I know it's an option and I'm really excited about it. You can actually donate your brain to this foundation so that they can study the effects of being a combat sports athlete on the brain. And they have a lot of studies on males, like football players, that kind of stuff, but not so much on women and not so much on fighters. So I'm thinking that might be nice. Yeah.
So the next question of being buried or cremated, you're going to be buried.
Am I being buried or cremated?
Yeah.
No, I still want to be cremated.
Just no brain.
Yeah, I don't care about my parts. I want to give as many organs and, pieces of me to help others as I can, and the last of me, what's the remains, I told my partner, I'm like, just burn that shit, and I want a shitty like box. I want the least, it's like, okay, you got the $9.99, this one, and then the one it came in. Just take the one it came in and just sprinkle me somewhere. I don't want to be a burden, like, financially to anybody. That's my wish, is to be the least financially burden on my loved ones as possible. I don't need a shrine. I don't need somewhere to go for people to, you know what I mean? Like, remember me. And that's why I'm working on my legacy now, you know? Because when we're gone, we're fucking gone. I don't need a headstone. I don't need a cross or whatever, I just want to have a legacy.
That's going to be part 1 of this one. There's going to be plenty more parts, man, because she has an interesting career as well. Your podcast, you talk with men and women about sex and all the good stuff, which we didn't even get into any of that.
Yeah.
Because that'll lead us down a whole rabbit hole of shit.
Yeah,
so we'll save that for the next one. Yeah. But where can they reach you?
So all my social media is pretty much the same. Twitter, Instagram.
What is it?
Snapchat. At Ashlee MMA. So ASHLEE MMA. And if you want to listen to the podcast, we are available wherever you listen to podcasts, on at Sex and Violence on Instagram, and Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Stitcher, all that kind of stuff.
I'll put a link in the description below.
Yeah, so the podcast is audio available, and stay tuned for the video. The video will be available on YouTube, and as well as exclusive content on the UFC Fight Pass network.
Nice. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gents. That's it. We're out of here. Thanks for watching. Peace.